What made you decide to start in Churchill?
That's a great question. It was actually my business partner, his name is Corey. He got in touch with the research station there. So it's called the Churchill Northern Study Center, and they study Arctic research throughout the year. And so we got in touch with them, and they were interested in food insecurity as well, and trying to see what they could do to be able to support their community. And at the same time, unfortunately, they usually got all of their shipments up by rail. And if you might have seen this in the news a couple years ago, their whole rail system got flooded for a very long time because of, I guess, seasonal floods. And so it was just a perfect time to be able to find something that they could rely on, because at that point they had to fly all of their food.
Yeah, and the owner would rather have sold it to get money instead of fixed it, because he said it would cost too much.
Yeah, exactly. So, it just put in perspective that our friends there wanted to find a solution that they could rely on themselves rather than any sort of external factors. And so they thought, why not try growing ourselves? And so Carly is still working up there and providing food to her community. And she's just continuing her awesome work that she does. So it's really exciting to be able to work with her all year round.
What made you decide to do the garden box?
Yeah, great question.
Or do you mean putting it in a shipping container?
Yeah, what made you decide to make a shipping container?
Okay, to choose that structure. That's a good question.
Yeah, that's a great question, and there is a reason for it. So interestingly enough, to be able to get to some of these communities in northern Canada for very heavy things, a lot of these communities are on islands. They actually need to be shipped up in the summer on boats that go all the way up to, around, usually up the St. Lawrence and around the Gulf, all the way up to the communities there. And so the way they usually transport items on these big boats is with shipping containers. Usually you put things inside, a lot of heavy or non-perishable food items as well. They put on these boats, and they get delivered every summer to these communities. And so the reason we chose these shipping containers is because it was the best and easiest way to be able to ship up our technology without it getting damaged on the way they normally transport items up to these northern communities. And it started to work for other communities as well that may still be road accessible, but usually do get similar shipments of that size. So that's why we chose doing it in a shipping container.
Did you when you started in Churchill, did you think that you were gonna be able to spread out into a lot more other towns?
Yeah, great question. It wasn't something we had thought would be where it is today. It was something more of an experiment to see, can this be done? Is it possible? And it was actually through the interest and the, I guess, the real support we found behind the project in the community of Churchill that it really then excited us to say, okay, if this is really working in this community, maybe there are others that we can help as well, and work with them to try and do something in their community. So it wasn't initially the thought, but it actually spurred us to really push us to build our business.
Berries and carrots and tomatoes.
So
great question.
Yeah, can you grow those?
So that's a great question. There are a few different types of what is, I guess, called hydroponics, and each different type is more suited to grow different types of plants. So the type we have in Churchill is meant for crops that grow above ground with a less complex root system. So you grow mostly leafy greens, herbs, brassicas. Carrots grow in the ground usually, quite deep. So those aren't things that we can grow indoors as of right now. But berries and tomatoes are options. It just doesn't, the technology has to be updated to be able to suit those types of crops, because as you might have seen in the video, the shelves are quite, you know, like this, so that it's growing mostly the shorter plants. So you'd need to make a few adjustments to be able to grow those types of things, but it is possible to grow strawberries and tomatoes indoors.
That was a great question.